Hello, word fans, and welcome back to another episode of Hello Word. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm thrilled to have you join me as we explore the fascinating world of English vocabulary. Today, our word of the day is economic. So, what does economic mean? Well, it's an adjective, and it simply means related to money or the economy. We use it to describe things connected to the financial systems of a country, a business, or even an individual. Think about things like jobs, trade, and spending, all of which can be described using the word economic. It's a word you'll hear often in news reports, business discussions, and even casual conversations. So let's dive a little deeper, shall we? Let's consider some synonyms for economic. A useful synonym is financial. For example, instead of saying the country is facing economic hardship, you could say the country is facing financial hardship. See how similar they are? Another synonym is fiscal. Now, fiscal often relates specifically to government finances. So, you might hear about fiscal policy, which refers to how the government manages its spending and taxes. An example could be, the government's fiscal policies aim to stimulate growth. Another synonym that might come in handy is budgetary. Budgetary refers to anything related to a budget, which is a plan for how money will be spent. For example, the company is facing budgetary constraints this year. We can also use the word pecuniary. Pecuniary is a more formal synonym, and it also means relating to money. So we can say, he received a pecuniary award for his outstanding work, which is the same as he received a money prize for his outstanding work. Now, let's look at antonyms, words that have the opposite meaning. One antonym for economic in certain contexts is non-economic. For example, if we are talking about reasons for a decision, we might differentiate between the economic reasons and the non-economic reasons. Let's say a company closes a factory. The economic reason might be that it's not profitable, and the non-economic reason might be to improve the company's image. Another antonym could be social, especially when considering the impact of policies. While an economic policy focuses on financial outcomes, a social policy focuses on people's well-being and society. For instance, economic growth is not the only measure of progress. We also need to consider social well-being. A further antonym, in some situations, could be considered personal. While economic factors often relate to broader systems, personal factors relate to an individual's circumstances. For example, the economic situation affected many businesses, but personal choices also played a role in their success or failure. How can we use economic in everyday life? Well, you might say, I'm taking an economic course at university. Or, the economic forecast for next year is uncertain. You might also hear people talking about economic development, which means improving the wealth and living standards of a country or region. For example, investing in education is crucial for economic development. Another common phrase is economic impact, which refers to the effect that something has on the economy. For example, the new factory will have a significant economic impact on the local community. Here are some further examples to illustrate the use of economic in sentences. 1. The government implemented new economic reforms. 2. The company's economic performance has improved significantly this year. 3. The country's economic growth rate is expected to slow down. 4. The project has potential economic benefits. 5. The study examines the economic effects of climate change. 6. We need to find more economic solutions. 7. She is an economic advisor to the president. 8. He made an economic decision to invest in real estate. 9. The economic downturn affected many people's lives. 10. They discussed the economic implications of the new trade agreement. We can also use economic in phrases such as economic crisis, economic policy, and economic activity. An economic crisis refers to a period of financial instability and hardship. Economic policy refers to the actions taken by a government to manage the economy. Economic activity refers to the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. So, to recap, economic means related to money or the economy. We've explored some useful synonyms like financial, fiscal, budgetary, and pecuniary, as well as antonyms such as non-economic, social, and personal, depending on the context. We've looked at how it's used in phrases such as economic impact, economic development, and in sentences that describe situations related to money and finance. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Hello Word. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before you go, please remember to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your support helps others find our show and learn new words. And now for your challenge. Create your own sentence using the word economic and share it as a comment below. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Until next time, happy learning!